The GMC Canyon undoubtedly seems like a mouth-watering option. A high-quality interior, class-leading towing capacity, and a rather handsome exterior. What's not to like? Well, quite a lot, as despite seeming like a pretty good proposition, initially, the GMC Canyon's skin-deep flaws start showing up once you look beside its already mentioned qualities. So let's not waste any more time and take a deep look at the 5 reasons why you should avoid the GMC Canyon. Number 5. Incredibly firm ride. Let's get serious here. You aren't dropping $40,000 at a mid-sized pickup truck for it to be uncomfortable. And yet, GM has somehow managed to offer us exactly that. The GMC Canyon is amongst the most expensive mid-sized pickup trucks on the market, courtesy of its premium interior and premium badge, which is why we expected it to offer a more refined ride than its Chevy brother. However, just like the Colorado, the Canyon also suffers from a bone-shattering ride, which has constantly been named the worst in this segment. You see, GM has decided to make both the Canyon and the Colorado extremely tall by increasing the ground clearance to make these vehicles both more off-road friendly as well as make them look more rugged. And sure enough, they've succeeded at both, as they did turn out pretty good off-road, and we absolutely adore how they look. However, GM should have also known that a person that buys a mid-sized pickup truck doesn't buy it to be an off-road exclusive, especially not if they're stepping well into full-size pickup truck territory budget-wise. The Canyon is just a pain when driven around imperfect roads, as they seem to find bumps and imperfections even where the road looks silky smooth. Now, we get it. They had to do this to keep the truck composed in the bends. And truth be told, the Canyon does offer a relatively engaging driving experience. However, we'd honestly trade that for a bit more comfort, if we're being honest. Now sure, we'd be willing to overlook this issue with the Colorado, as it is the most affordable mid-sized pickup truck on the market today. However, this is just unacceptable for the Canyon. Seriously, GM should have made the ride softer, and they should have focused more on suspension dampening and making the vehicle more comfortable when riding on pothole-ridden roads. But no, they just practically copied and pasted the Colorado suspension and called it a day. If only they swapped the rear leaf springs for coil suspension, this would have done wonders for the truck. But alas, they were too lazy, or dare we say, too cheap to do so. Number 4. Interior space is tight. In addition to being pretty hard suspension-wise, the GMC Canyon also suffers from incredibly mediocre interior space. We're not talking about the front seats though. Those ones are perfectly okay. No, what we're talking about are the rear seats. You see, a GMC Canyon has 34.7 inches of rear legroom, 34.7 inches, in a crew cab mid-size pickup truck. Just to put things in perspective, the Ford Maverick, which is an entire foot shorter than the GMC Canyon, has 37 inches of rear legroom. The Honda Ridgeline completely annihilates the Canyon in this regard, as it has around 37 inches of legroom too, while also expanding on the headroom and offering a more comfortable seating position. In fact, the seating position is something we should complain more about if you asked us. The legroom wouldn't be that big of an issue as, albeit tight, it's pretty comparable to the Tacoma and the Ford Ranger. The bottom parts of the seats are pretty flat, and the sitting part is nearly completely horizontal, while the upper part sits at an angle of almost 90 degrees relative to the lower part. This results in you sitting pretty upright, which drastically compromises the comfort for rear passengers. And if you combine that with the already mentioned harsh ride quality, you get an abysmal comfort level for anyone. That's not the driver or the front passenger. Number 3. The truck bed isn't the best. You see, the key reason why we're willing to overlook the Ranger and the Tacoma for offering mediocre rear passenger space is because both of these trucks come with a 6-foot bed as an option. Also, the Honda Ridgeline, despite being a unibody pickup truck, also offers 5.5 feet worth of bed length. And you know what the Canyon offers? 5 feet. That's it! Just a measly 5 feet. This makes it the mid-sized pickup truck with the shortest bed currently on offer. All other trucks, including even the Nissan Frontier, which is widely regarded as the most mediocre choice out of all mid-sized pickup trucks, comes with an optional 6-foot bed. Just so you know, the Ford Maverick, which as established is a foot shorter, doesn't just offer more interior space, but also a comparable bed length of 4.5 feet. Sure, it isn't as good. However, the Maverick is a far cheaper alternative to the Canyon. Let's hope that, in the future, GM will extend the bed space and offer it to us, as this really puts a bad rap on a pickup truck that's already widely regarded as the most capable one in its segment in terms of practicality. Number 2. The powertrain isn't particularly inspiring. Don't get us wrong, the 2.7-liter Turbo 4 used in the Canyon is a perfectly capable engine, and we're not throwing shade at its capability. It comes with 430 pound-feet of torque and 310 horsepower, which allows it up to 7,700 pounds of towing capacity, rivaled only by its brother, the Colorado, which offers the same kind of performance. After all, this engine is so capable that GM also used it in the Silverado and the Sierra. That said, we can't help but wonder if the engine was a good pick or not, as having a 4-cylinder that's so overstrained is rarely a good thing in the long run. As a result, we're sure that there will be some long-term reliability issues with it, especially if you actually intend on towing a lot. Furthermore, there's also a big issue concerning its gas mileage. One would expect that an engine that is as compact as this one would return pretty good MPG. However, that isn't the case with the Canyon. You see, the Canyon can return only 23 miles per gallon on the highway and 18 miles per gallon around the city. Compared to the Nissan Frontier, which has a naturally aspirated 3.8-liter V6, the MPG is virtually the same, with the highway MPG actually being worse on the Canyon by 1 mile per gallon. In addition to that, the engine has a fundamental problem. It's an inline-4, which means that it makes more unnecessary vibrations and is quite a bit more vocally unhappy when revved at higher RPM. That said, we have to commend GM for opting for an 8-speed automatic transmission. This is a much better solution in our opinion compared to Ford's 10-speed automatic, as it is more elastic and offers a better power band than the truck. However, there is another, far more pressing issue that the GMC Canyon faces. Number 1, the competition just offers more for less. The GMC Canyon is a good truck. It really is. However, the problem is that so is the truck's entire competition. You see, every single one of the Canyon's competitors seems to offer something more compared to it. First of all, the Ford Ranger offers better comfort levels, while also having a maximum towing capacity of 7,500 pounds. Not to mention that, when properly equipped, it is just as capable as the Canyon off the road. Sure, its interior might not be as good as the Canyon, however, it's still sufficient enough, especially if you take into consideration that the truck costs considerably less than the Canyon. In addition to that, the Tacoma is very much known as the best off-roader in the segment, and it offers a much better ride quality because it uses a coil spring suspension at the rear. And while its towing capacity isn't as good as the GMC Canyon, its MPG figures are much better, especially with the hybrid model. The Frontier, too, has quite a bit of virtues over it, as it offers a more spacious cabin, better bed practicality, and a vastly cheaper price tag, all while offering a powertrain that's, in our opinion, the best one in its class. But the biggest problem of the Canyon is the fact that the Colorado exists. Simply put, for a considerably lesser amount of money, you'll get exactly the same truck. Both the inside and the outside are practically identical to the Canyon, with only some minor trim changes, such as side vents on the dashboard. Also, as mentioned, the Colorado has the same towing and payload capacity when outfitted with a high-output 2.7 engine, and also performs identically. All in all, GM should have given much more thought in making the GMC Canyon a luxurious entry in the midsize truck market, and not just turn the Colorado in a badge-engineered quick cash grab. As such, we see a very limited amount of buyers that the Canyon will be a good pick for. And even then, we'd advise them to just save their money and get the Colorado instead.